Hey Sid, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you?
Can I call you Sid?
Yep, sure.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Likewise,
There's someone looking into your office right now through your window.
someone is always looking into my office. I'm always being watched over my shoulder.
Welcome, Sid Sadangi. Sid is a machine learning developer advocate at Neptune AI. Neptune AI is a metadata store that helps machine learning teams track, organize, and manage experiments and models. He's also a community moderator and Streamlit Creator. Streamlit is an open source Python framework for building and sharing interactive data apps easily. Thanks for joining us, Sid.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with Neptune AI. Can you give us a quick overview of what it is and some of the key use cases it supports?
Yeah, sure. So Neptune AI is an experiment tracker purpose built for, say, teams training large scale models. And when I say large scale models, it's like, say, foundation model scale. So like, say, teams like really building their new foundation models from scratch. And the kind of use cases it supports is, like I mentioned, when you're, say, training large scale models, you want to be able to, like, say, look into each granular detail of the training process. You don't want to miss out on any anomalies or spikes, so that, like, because, say, large scale model is very resource intensive. Any, like, say, wasted training could cost you thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in, like, say, just infra cost. So you want to be able to capture any anomalies, spikes, anything out of the ordinary very soon. And this is what Neptune enables, for you to be able to log, track each detail of your training, so you can just take corrective action as and when the training is happening, without having to wait for the training run to complete or your processes to fail and then having to restart from the beginning.
Can you give me an example of why you might be training a model and why you might be setting up an experiment for that training process?
Yeah, sure. So let's say start from a very simple case, right? So say, for example, you are a college student working on a hobby project. You would be using, say, scikit-learn models, but your model training process is never a one-shot process, right? So you, say, start with a baseline model and then like experiment with the hyperparameters and then end up with a better performing model. You do repeat this experiment a couple of times and end up with an ideal model, like, say, an ideal set of parameters that you would want to stick with. Now, this is generally the case when they, for, say, small scale training, like I mentioned, a hobby project. But when you are a large team working on, say, these large scale models, uh, there are, say, you, there are, say, issues which are introduced by the scale. So one of those issues is you cannot really, like, say, iterate from the beginning every time you have to update the hyperparameters, right? So generally the workflow we see large scale teams adopting is, you take one set of hyperparameters, you start an experiment, say, train your model for 5,000 steps, 10,000 steps. At some particular point, you experiment with another set of hyperparameters. So you, like, if I could show it, it would mostly look like your loss curves decreasing, stagnating.
Mm-hmm.
You change the hyperparameters and then it starts decreasing again.
Mm-hmm.
So why you need an experiment tracker for this is, you end up with a lot of such experiments. And at some point, Excel does not really cut it anymore. So you cannot keep a track of all the metrics, all the hyperparameters, which experiment was the best in Excel. You need a centralized logging solution or tool where you can see experiment training progressing live, where you can share your results with your team, even if it's a distributed team with, like, say, one person in Japan, the second in Jakarta, or, say, the US.
I see.
You need, say, one place where everything is being logged so that the entire team can collaborate. So that's the problem that tools like Neptune try to solve, like experiment trackers like Neptune solve.
I see. So you configure an experiment for training a particular model for a particular use case, and you're able to track everything, the training
Exactly.
process, and then at the end you get what, a more efficient model. Is that the idea? That's the goal,
So
right? You want a more efficient
yeah,
model, and you may need to train it multiple times, multiple ways.
exactly. Yes. So the end goal is, like, say, to get a more efficient or better performing model. Now, these tools help you achieve that goal by keeping a track of all the hyperparameters used in one particular experiment.
I see.
So at the end, you can compare different experiments and pick out the best one.
Who are your main customers and or users?
So, I mean, tools like these can be used by, say, anyone training models, But Neptune in specific is, like I mentioned, built for, say, large scale teams training. I mean, not large scale teams training large scale models. So some like say some customers that I can name publicly are, say, Samsung, Poolsides, or teams that are really training foundational generative models. In case of Poolside, they are training, say, code assistants. We have, say, Bioptimus, which are training models in the biology space. We have, say, Navier training physics foundation models. So these models run, say, have anywhere between, say, a few millions to a few billion parameters. And that is our, say, ICP. Like, these are the kind of customers that we want to be using Neptune, because there is currently no other tool in the space.
I see. Okay. So you're a machine learning developer advocate at Neptune. What does that mean? What is your role involved, and what does a typical day look like for you?
That's a very good question, and at the same time, it's a very difficult question to answer.
Sorry about
Because the role of a developer advocate in general is pretty fluid, right? So in case you have spoken to different developer advocates, all of them would have a different answer to what their day looks like or what they do, and even like which team do they report in. So sometimes it's in the engineering work function, sometimes it's in sales, marketing, so on and so forth. So it's pretty fluid for me as well. So the primary work involves making developers as in like our users' life easier with our product. So that's the end goal. How we do it? Doing demos of the product to prospective leads, helping, like, say, users onboard to the product, providing technical support to users, and also, like, say, supporting, like, providing technical sales support. So being a part of sales conversations in case any technical question comes up. And also, like, say, gathering feedback from users and being the communication bridge between our users and the product and engineering teams, triaging issues, classifying them as, say, feature requests and handing them over to product, classifying them as bug requests, classifying them as bugs and, like, handing them to the engineering team, and then keeping the line of communication open between the Neptune team and our users who are developers. So basically, you are an advocate for the developers, and hence the name developer advocate. So you are advocating for the needs of the developers within your team, like within your product.
How do you know what the developers need or want? In other words, how do you select projects or demos to build to release to the public? What's the process?
So this comes with a lot of, say, experience on talking to customers, talking with what the users want, gathering feedback, and then, say, classifying feedback. Okay, like, say, these many people want this feature. Also, like, looking at your competitors, right? So which features are being offered by the competitors? Where do you see a gap in the market? Where do you think a feature, like, do you think if a feature can fill that gap, and if there will be users for that feature? So you have to talk to a lot of users, look at what a competition is doing. And then also, like, there's the business aspect of it, right? Because working on any feature takes engineering and development time. So you also have to factor that into account, see, okay, what's the potential dollar value of this feature? Like, say, even if it's a one person requesting a feature, if that one person is willing to pay you $1 million, then yeah, that's an important feature.
Sure.
So yeah, there are a lot of factors. So the number of users, the use case niche it fills, the potential improvements to the product as a whole. So yeah.
So I'll give you an example. I was looking through your videos. You have a video, how to track ML model training, PyTorch and Neptune AI integration. How did that happen? How did that video come about? What was the process?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So PyTorch, as you might know, is one of the most popular ML training frameworks currently, and a lot of foundation models are built on PyTorch. So what we observed was a lot of our users are training models using PyTorch, and also a lot of them are using Neptune. But there was no easy way for them to log PyTorch model metrics to Neptune. Like, we did not have an integration per se. So they were ending up having to, like, say, log metrics and parameters manually. So what we wanted to do was make this logging process as smooth as possible for them. So we, like, built an integration with PyTorch. So it's just a callback. You use the callback, and all your metrics, evaluations, everything is logged automatically to Neptune. The video was basically kind of a developer education tool on how you can use this integration, and basically, like, say, how it makes your life easier compared to logging everything manually.
Okay, that makes sense. Can you tell me about some technical projects or demos you've worked on recently that you're particularly proud of?
Yes. So pretty recently, we are actually doing a closed beta of the new product, Neptune, that we call Neptune Scale. And we had an, like say, onboarding example that people could just say explore the product in. So this was built quite a while back using a different Python API that we have discontinued. So it was a bit difficult to maintain. So what we did was, like say, we built another example from scratch. Now this example, in this example, we have tried to show all the different features of Neptune, like say how you can say fork different runs, visualize each anomaly, even if you have a million data points in a single chart and still see a single anomaly. How easy it is for you to, like say, log stuff to Neptune and then create reports out of all the charts. Now, the problem is, say, trying to fit all features in an example is it starts looking a bit artificial. So we also wanted to keep that example as natural to an actual developer flow or use case as possible.
I see.
So that was a, like say, pretty nice balance that we had to, like say, we had to maintain. So show as many features as you can, but it should still be natural, and a developer who goes through the example should be able to resonate. Okay, like this is something that I could actually be seeing in my chart. So you see a loss chart, it should look like a loss chart.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, like there's no context behind it.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's an example we just released, and building it was was really fun.
Actually, so this is a great segue to my next question. How do you balance technical depth with accessibility when you're creating this content for the developer community? Or do you not worry about it? This can be as technical as possible because you're dealing with developers.
Okay. Yeah. So uh, accessibility is obviously very important, because in this role, you are talking to a lot of different developers at different stages of their journey, right? So there could be developers who are just starting out. They have no experience with experiment tracking. They are like I mentioned, college students working on hobby projects. Or you could be talking to a researcher working in a large research lab training the next state-of-the-art LLM model, right? Both of them are using the same product, but they will have wildly different questions. And there will be a wildly different way on how you approach both of these personas. So my primary focus is to, like say, tailor content to meet developers where they are in their journey. So this involves like kind of striking a balance between why, how, and what. So we start with accessible guides addressing the why. So why do you need experiment tracking? Why do you need a tool like Neptune? And like say, so from why you move to how. Like how do you get started with training? How do you get started with Neptune? And then more complex use cases. How do you do X with Neptune? How do you do X and Y with Neptune and that other tool? So you, like say, gradually, like say, increase the complexity. Make sure not to, like say, oversimplify, like say, complex concepts, while still, like say, taking developers from 0 to 1. So this like, so what we have built is, like say, example code recipe repository where you can find guides which is tailored to each developer, irrespective of, say, which stage on the journey they are in. So if it's like say someone who's pretty new, they will find content relevant to them. Someone who is experienced, who just needs to know how to plug Neptune into their very complex workflow, they will find guides for them. So like say, have something that caters to everyone. And when you're talking to developers, keep in mind the persona of developer you're talking to and at which stage of their, say, experiment tracking journey they are in.
It's interesting. I need to adopt the same kind of process for my own demonstrations because I'm always trying to come up with something. It's usually based on something I'm interested in learning, right? That's the whole idea of this. Is I want to learn and then I want to provide content based on what I'm learning. But I'm always thinking about, how accessible is it versus how technical is it? Or do I not think about it? I just kind of put it out there, using my intuition. So I like your process. I like your way of thinking about this. So you're also part of the Streamlit Creators program and serve as a community moderator for Streamlit. First, for those unfamiliar, what products and services does Streamlit provide?
So Streamlit is like a web app framework for Python scripts. So what it excels at is empowering, say, data scientists to create web apps without any front-end knowledge.
Okay.
So you have a lot of data scientists who have your own data scripts, but they don't have they don't have the technical expertise or resources to invest in, like say, learning front-end development so they can create an app to
Yeah.
basically showcase their models or the scripts to the world. So this is what Streamlit does. You create web apps purely in Python.
Interesting. So what does your involvement look like in the Streamlit community?
So in the Streamlit community, I am like a creator and a community moderator. So these are like the kind of two separate things. Creator is an, let's say, invite only program. So if you have been influential in using Streamlit, like if you have created Streamlit apps that have helped users in general, if you have created Streamlit components or integrations that are being used by, say, Streamlit users, you get invited to this community of, say, Streamlit creators or, say, Streamlit super users. And then what perks it gives you is a direct line of communication with the Streamlit team. So I get to interact with Streamlit product managers, engineers, even up to like the Streamlit founders and co-founders. Now, Streamlit community managers. So this is basically like so for people who are active in the Streamlit community in general. So we are active in the Streamlit discussion forums. We are answering questions raised by users. Basically, it's providing community support. And like it's more of like, it's also kind of a developer advocate role where you like say, take in feedback from the community, pass it on to the Streamlit team, maintain that line of communication between users and the actual product team.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you one question about machine learning. So what is machine learning operations, MLOps, and how does Neptune fit into that ecosystem?
So MLOps like refers to the set of practices or say tools or frameworks or processes designed to streamline and automate development, deployment, monitoring, and maintenance of machine learning models in production environments. So you can think of it as like say DevOps, but say tailored for machine learning models.
Okay.
Like some of the ways it's actually different from DevOps is in DevOps, you're only kind of concerned with the code, with the state of the code. But in MLOps, you also have to be concerned about the state of the model and the data which feeds the model. So some key components of MLOps are like, say, model development, where you're actually training your model based on different slices of data, different parameters. Then you have version control, both for the code and the data. So this is where, like, say, it kind of differs from DevOps. Then you have, say, CI/CD for ML, building and deploying models, retraining models, pushing a model, like the competitor, the challenger champion comparison and promotion, all of that. Then you have monitoring and maintenance. So you monitor your model performance in production. Eventually, you will observe that your model performance starts degrading. There is data drift, there is concept drift, and then you like say retrain your model, and that loop kind of continues. So you have to find out ways to automate that. And finally, like say stretching like the entire spectrum, the broad spectrum is say collaboration across teams, across the entire model lifecycle. Yeah. So at each stage, at development, monitoring, CI/CD, involves different teams talking to each other. At say the development stage, you would have like say ML engineers and researchers training their models. Then you have MLOps engineers deploying those models. Then you have someone in production or subject matter experts monitoring those models, flagging when the model has to be retrained. So all of it is a part of MLOps. And where Neptune fits in the ecosystem is in the model development stage, somewhat in the version control place like stage as well, because you can log your hyperparameters to Neptune. You can log what data was used by model to Neptune, and also in the collaboration aspect of MLOps. So you use Neptune to like say keep a track of models, see all the charts live, compare different models, and then also use Neptune to create interactive reports based on those charts or model performance. So you can like say share those reports with external stakeholders or with different teams, and like say maintain that collaboration across say, okay, this hyperparameter works, this does not work, this model needs retraining, and now is a good time to promote this model to production.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. I want to talk about your career journey a little bit, but I did want to ask you, what does your team look like? What team are you on? Do you manage a team? What's your setup?
I do not manage a team, so I'm more of an individual contributor. So I'm officially a product specialist at Neptune.
Okay.
I was a developer advocate before, but that was internally rebranded to a product specialist. So we have another product specialist, so two product specialists. We work very closely with the documentation team. So we are officially all a part of the technical communication team. Yeah. So any communication that's technical in nature, the docs, code recipes, tutorials is basically comes from our team. So that's what the team looks like. And it's headed by the technical communication lead, who's also the docs lead.
I see. Okay. So let's talk about your career journey. How did you get here, Sid? Tell us about your path from college to Deloitte to Reuters and then on to Neptune and Streamlit.
Yeah, this has been quite a journey. So in college, I graduated with a major in electronics and electrical engineering.
Mm.
But in India, there's a saying that it does not matter what your major is, you end up working in IT. So that's what happened with me as well. So I started working in Deloitte straight from college. So in Deloitte, I was in the ETL space. So I've been in the data space route, but I was not initially a data scientist. So I was in the ETL space doing a lot of data warehousing, Informatica development, and this was 10 years ago. So it's already been 10 years. So yeah. I was working in ETL for around 2 years, and it was during that time I also since 2015, it was when the data science hype was just starting to pick up.
Okay.
And I was fortunate to be one of the early adopters. So I started learning Python and got selected to a Deloitte internal program where they taught you data science and machine learning from scratch. So with my recently acquired data science and machine learning skills, I switched over to Reuters as a full-time data scientist. I was working with Reuters in the Reuters marketing and sales team. So we built a lot of models around, cross-sell recommendation, upsell prediction, churn prediction around our, B2B. And during my time at Reuters, I was introduced to Streamlit because I wanted to build. So all my work till this point of time had been internal, right? It was nothing public facing. I mean, I was doing some very interesting work around modeling, but it was nothing that I could show externally as well.
I see.
So I came across Streamlit as this UI framework that helps you build web apps, and you can show your models to the world. And I'm like, okay, let's try this. So I started building my own apps, and and gradually build my own Streamlit components, which were then adopted by different by other Streamlit users as well. And that's how I got involved on the Streamlit side of things. That is a completely different or separate to how I got involved with Neptune. So I was also writing technical blogs on Medium, and that is when Neptune was also setting up its own blog. So the Neptune MLOps blog is, I would say, one of the best resources and one of the most popular resources in case you have to learn about MLOps.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to write a blog, and I did. And apparently it was a very good blog because it was it ranked higher than Google's own tutorial on one of Google's own products.
Yeah.
So it was basically a tutorial of how to use Google, how to handle different files in Google Colab. And I think it's still in 4 years down the line, it's in the top 5 search results. But yeah, that performed very well. And so we wanted to deepen our collaboration with Neptune. So I started working on internal documentation. We did not have a proper documentation team yet at Neptune. So I started freelancing and working with Neptune on the side while still working full time for Reuters.
I see.
So yeah, that we did that for around 1.5 years. And then I moved to France and joined Neptune full time in the DevRel team. So I was working with the DevRel lead already. And when I wanted to join, it was just a matter of asking him if the role is still open because I'd already invited me to the team.
Right.
And yeah, that's how I got in the DevRel team without any prior DevRel experience or without any prior MLOps experience.
What advice would you give to aspiring computer scientists or data scientists who are interested in moving into more community or product-facing roles?
I would say if I had to give one piece of advice, it would be do not get caught in tutorial hell. I have been guilty of that myself at when I was learning Python and machine learning and data science, I had 15 tabs open, all with different courses. And I'm once I finish all of these, I will build something.
Right.
And that never happens, right? As someone I know says, it's always finished, but never complete. So I would say learn a bit, build in public, build iteratively in public. Don't be afraid of releasing, broken things in public. It's fine as long as you're not, cheating or doing, misleading anyone. Release in public, be be like say open to feedback, and the feedback you get out of releasing your products in public or building in public will teach you a lot more than any course can do. So
Yeah.
build, release in public, listen to feedback, improve your product, and like say follow this loop.
I
This
love
would
that.
be like say a single piece of advice. Yeah,
I love that. Build in public, make mistakes.
build in public. Yeah, iterate.
That's great. Great advice. What technical or non-technical skills have been most important to your growth in the past few years?
Mhm. So I would say on the technical side, I'm fortunate to have some data science experience. Uh, in Neptune, like say we enable people like training their own ML models or doing data science, but we are not a data science or AI company, right? We are a platform company. So our team is mostly say software engineers. We do not have a lot of people. We do have people like who are very good data scientists, who are good ML engineers, or like say have ML experience, but not a lot. So coming from a like the full-time data science background has helped me understand our user persona. So the kind of developers who use Neptune, what are their particular challenges?
Okay.
How are they currently using Neptune, and how would they rather use Neptune as? So I think that knowledge has helped me understand their pain points both technically and like say functionally.
Okay.
And on the non-technical side, I would say I have been involved with a lot of say internal communities in like say various enterprises I've worked with. So in Deloitte, I was part of the Deloitte USA ML Guild. In Reuters, I was leading the Bangalore Green Team. I was also one of the founding members of the ML community of practitioners. So being a part of these communities and managing these communities also like say has given me skills to manage developer communities in general, like external developer communities, be it for say very specific tools like Neptune or like say very large scale or widely used tools like Streamlit.
Are there any specific tools, courses, or resources that you rely on to stay current in machine learning or developer relations?
Hmm. I do not like say follow a lot of newsletters. So some of the resources that I feel are very good are like I might be a bit biased here, but the Neptune blog is a very good resource for anyone
Right.
who wants to like say follow, like keep up to date on ML and MLOps. I used to follow Medium a lot, but nowadays most of the articles are locked behind a paywall.
Yeah.
So there's that. But shout out to Kuven Tran, who shares bite-size, say Python tips and tricks daily in her newsletter. It's called Code Cut. I definitely recommend that newsletter to anyone who wants to upskill on Python or data science.
Okay.
And finally, on tools, I would also like say call LinkedIn a tool, because most of my learning actually comes from my network in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So you have to like say be very choosy about like say who you interact with, on how you build your network and what you want to see on your LinkedIn feed.
Yeah.
And I think fortunately for my case, the algorithm works, and I like say learn a lot every time I refresh my feed. I also tried to do this on X, but the algorithm has not worked for me yet.
Okay.
But yeah, LinkedIn and these couple of blogs and newsletters I mentioned, these have really helped me.
That's great. So what's next for you? Any projects, events, or goals you're excited about in 2025?
Yeah. So on the professional side, like I mentioned, like we currently have a closed beta of our new version of Neptune. It's called Neptune Scale. So it will be out for public, say sometime in the coming few months. And that is something I'm really looking forward to. We already have received very good feedback about the product from beta testers. And we'll just like say, looking forward to what the larger community has to say about it. And on the personal side, I'm actually also writing a book on Streamlit, and it should hopefully be out sometime this year. This is the first time I'm saying this in public. So yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to as well.
Wow, big announcement. So what's the name? Can you say the name of the book and specifically what it's about?
Yeah, it's on Streamlit, building web apps with Streamlit.
Okay.
And that's also the name of the book. So it's like pretty generic, targeted to users. I mean, targeted to anyone who's just starting with Streamlit, or data scientists who, like I mentioned, have models but don't have a way of say building a framework or UI around those models.
Oh, fantastic. So yeah, this is great. Thanks a lot for doing it. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
What time zone are you in?
I'm in CET, yeah, Central Euro. So it's 4 p.m. for me.
Oh, okay. Not too bad. End of day.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks a lot, Sid.
Nice talking to you. Have a good
You
day.
too. You too. Bye.
Bye.